Hi, welcome to another edition of the Weekly Brunch with the Loon. I am the Loon, and today we are going to talk about having a Ghibli moment. Now, I understand. Give me one moment. Let me see. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I understand that most people don't know what Ghibli is, but before I get into that, what I'd like to say is that I actually, I'm a big enthusiast when it comes to animation. Uh, some of my prior work has to do with, I used to do reviews of, with I Am Black Sci-Fi. So I used to do those reviews. And recently, I just came across this wonderful animation called Ghibli. And while I was watching the Ghibli animations, I realized, and I've watched some people break it down, I realized that there's an attraction there. And due to that attraction to this type of art form, the thing that I call the Ghibli moment, sorry about that, is what I want to address because it's a unique animation. And I'm going to describe what it is first and explain it to you, and then I'm going to explain to you what do I mean by a Ghibli moment. Now, as usual, I have my PowerPoint all ready for you to go. Now, what is a Ghibli moment? What is Ghibli, I should say? Ghibli is a Japanese animation film studio who, and let me see if I could get this studio, and it was created by Hiro, sorry about that, Hiroshiri Hisho Hakazaki, and if I mispronounce that, please forgive me, and Asoya Akiyata. Now, this is a specific form of hand-drawn artistry, and it has specific themes that goes in it. The themes revolve around nature, pacifism. And remember, this is a Japanese animation, so this is part of the culture. Childhood wonder, which is key, and we're going to touch on that. Societal issues, so it's not like just about just random non-narrative animations. It's actually it address issues like most stories. You're a storyteller. If you're a storyteller, if you're a writer, you are touching upon issues. And it's also have the theme within the Shinto spiritual concept, which is kami. Now, I did write the definition of kami here for you, and we're going to go back to this. Now, what kami is, if you're not familiar with the Japanese culture, is the sacred spirit or divine essence central to Shinto, representing natural forces like mountains, rivers, and trees, powerful phenomenon as ancestral spirits, and revered, I'm sorry, that was a misspelling on my part, revered historical figures, considering awe-inspiring beings that bring both blessings and potential calamity, requiring respect and purification rituals for harmony. Okay? It is a very insightful and very zen-like cartoon. Uh, their their protagonists are always key. The worlds they create. It may look like the world that you step out and walk out to, but there is a difference. It's like it says on the PowerPoint. It's magical. A blade of grass has significance when you watch these animations, and there is a distinct pacing. When they say distinct pacing, the pacing is there's emphasis. on something as simple as a pause. And it's quite refreshing, I believe. Okay, now let's look at the concept of Ma. Let me see. Because that was brought up, I do believe, but at the end, yes, with the distinct pacing. So, Ma, the definition of Ma is the intentional emptiness, pause, or negative space that gives form meaning and possibly to what surrounds it, applying to space, time, and communication, like silence between musics. Like if you play music, you know that that pause in that score is very important to hit, and that's what this is. That's what it's not just music that's important to. It's also actions taken in life. I look at it as the feng shui, which we're going to get into a little bit later, because I know at one point, I don't know if it's like that now, but at one point, it was all the rave about 20 years ago. And I hate to date myself like that. And the key aspects of Ma is space and architecture, time and rhythm, communication, and the endless possibilities that goes within every moment. Okay? Um, and then there was Tokinoma, which was touch, with the definition of Ma. And I just wanted to define that as a recessed alcove in a traditional Japanese room. This is where feng shui comes into, serving as the room's focal point for displaying art and seasonal items. Your Christmas tree would fall into that when it's around Christmas. If you have that that the family picture, that group picture, that I don't know if people still take that, but that would be considered that as well. And this is all within the aspect of this animation. You sense that, you feel that. It's not all about the action within these animations. It's more about the experience of the main characters and those around the main characters. Okay? Now, what do I call a Ghibli moment? Now, if you do a search on YouTube right now and you put in Ghibli, you're going to get a lot of channels that have their own versions of quote unquote Ghibli moments. Uh, the ones I've seen, and it actually it moves you, and it's something so simple. Um, the they have one where there's a family that's going out and they're living in a tree, or they're taking a RV ride through the forest, and they have the kitchen there. There's the train ones. You do a search and you will find it. But those are not the Ghibli artists from Japan, like the movies that we've seen that they're out there. Let me see if I could bring up. I could possibly name a few of them for you if you want to check out uh, a Ghibli movie. You may want to. Let me see. I had it listed here. I'm gonna let you know which movies they have out. Ghibli movies. Okay. Okay. So you have like Spirited Away is a very well-known one. Then there's the one called My Neighbor Totoro. Uh, Howl's Moving Castle. That's another popular one. And then there's Princess Mononoke. Please forgive me for mispronouncing these. But these are the Gimlis you're going to see. And if you watch these Gimlis, there's special detail put into something as simple as chopping up food to make a dinner, the making of the dinner. And the best part of it is the other characters enjoying the dinner. This is what I'm calling a Ghibli moment. How do you create? How do you have a Ghibli moment? Well, most of us, I would like to think, still likes to cook or will cook every now and then. We'll put our food. We don't always do takeout. At least that's my expectation. We don't always do takeout. So, or just sitting down reading a book. This is a Ghibli moment. In a Ghibli moment, what I call a Ghibli moment, because that's just something I just tagged onto it. You are in that moment. You're not thinking about when you have to go to work, when you have to go to sleep, what task do you have to do, where you have to run to, or anything like that. That's not what you do during a Ghibli moment. A Ghibli moment is I am in my kitchen and I've taken all my supplies out. And I do this because I like to cook, so I'm going to use that example. I've taken all my ingredients out, and I'm in the moment as I'm cutting that onion. I'm I'm in the moment as I'm crushing that garlic. I'm taking the moment. I'm in that moment as I'm measuring my measurements to put the food together. Once I put the food together, because everything is almost like science, you got to put it in there or boil it for so long or put it in the oven for so many degrees for so long. So you're in that moment as you're doing that. But that's not where that moment ends, because that meal that you're putting together, once you put it on your plate, is the fruits of your labor. So you sit down and you enjoy that meal. You enjoy every bite of that meal. If you're eating alone, you revel and you take your time and you taste it. There's a reason why I'm going down this. That's something children use children do, and what we used to do as children is they do that happy dance when they're eating the food. They're doing that happy dance because they're enjoying and absorbing every bite of that. And you do see that reflected in these good Ghibli's animations. This is how you put yourself and you create your Ghibli moment by being in the moment. If you go for a walk, the moment you step on a leisurely walk, that is the start of your Ghibli moment. That is when you take in the trees if you're passing by trees, the decor when you're going through, the breath that you're taking. When you inhale and exhale, you're taking that moment in. I like the Ghibli animation, and the Ghibli moments for one reason and one reason only. And it's something I always talk about on this channel. It helps us practice gratitude. There's gratitude in having the ingredients to make that meal. There's gratitude to have the ability to cut those ingredients up and measure those ingredients up and put those ingredients together. And then finally, sitting down and enjoying that meal. You have gratitude when you take that moment and you're in that moment. Ghibli teaches us many things, and it doesn't just entertain us. It teaches us how to appreciate and maximize our Ghibli moments, which we have. Because it's funny, I know you sit down and you watch an action movie or one of the action animes. You're watching this anime, and then you're wishing, wow, I wish I could do martial arts like that. Oh, why don't we have like advanced technology like that? If you're watching a sci-fi anime and there's all this tech in there. But where do you sit down and watch a film where that's not the whole film, but in the film They're sitting there and they're cutting up the food and they're making the food or they're going for a walk. Do you take the time? And this is what Ghibli inspires in us. Do you take the time to say, I wish I could make a meal like that? I want a meal like that. Oh, I can make a meal like that. But it's not the meal you want, it's the experience. But that's an experience that's reachable to you by just practicing gratitude and being in the moment. So, I know a lot of people have a 3 day weekend because I know I have a 3 day weekend. So, I get to do a lot of stuff, and I'm going to have several Ghibli moments. Oh, before I sign off, I wanted to also, because I said I was going to touch on the childhood remembrance when I was talking earlier. And the Ghibli moments bring you back to that innocence of a child. Because by being in the moment, by having that type of moment, the wonder of the world just opens up in front of you. It's a wonder of the food, the ingredients that's in the food. It's a wonder, the taste that you created. Mm, that's the important part, that you created. I mean, if you're by yourself or if you're with somebody you trust, you might find yourself doing that childhood dance when you're in that moment of dancing while you're eating that food that's so great for you or the moment you're having. I can't tell you how many times that I've gone for a walk, whether it's casual or whether um, I go out, I'm on my way to an appointment or even work, that I'm walking down and I have this sudden urge to do a dance as I'm walking down the street, which a kid would do. We don't do it because, it looks kind of funny if you're an adult. But it's just, it evokes that, when you're in the moment, it evokes that feeling like you want to dance down the street. Nothing happens special. There's no special occasion, but the fact that because you're in the moment, that joy from within is just like waiting to bust out. And that's what a Ghibli moment does for you. Now, Ghibli moments are not always, they're not always happy, but most of the time it is. I mean, there's a reason why to say, don't run away from your sorrow, don't run away from your problems. But if you look at what you go through in a day and how you proceed in your day, you will have more happier Ghibli moments than sad. So it's important to sit down, take a moment, and be in your environment. Now that I brought up environment. Another thing that Ghibli does do is it's all about the flow of energy in the environment, whether you are outside or inside. Now, some of us live in a home that's very cluttered, especially if you live in an apartment, you live in the city like I do. So, clutter is something that comes in, and in the Ghibli world, they may be cluttered, but there's a flow of energy. You never know if you sit down and you're turned on by Ghibli, or if you even haven't put this mindset as you're watching it and you go back and watch it. You might be motivated to make your life more, how can I say, feng shui-ish. You may want to try opening up your house. You may want to try to declutter. It's a motivation, but it only starts when you have that moment. So, it's Sunday. If you're watching the live, if you watch this later, this was filmed on Sunday. And Sunday is usually people's day of rest. They go do their worship thing, and they might have a family dinner, or they might be prepping for the week, or they might be getting ready to rest since tomorrow's a holiday for some. As you go through your day today and throughout the week, go ahead and remind yourself, Am I in the moment? Am I having my Ghibli moment? And a sense of gratitude is going to come over you. It may take a couple of times, but if you journal, it'd be nice for you to see on this day. All I did is something simple. There's nothing grandeur or anything like that. It's just something simple for you. I I was able to enjoy cutting up the onions. Oh, the onions were so good that I ended up tearing up and crying. Or I had a moment when I was watching a movie or binging a movie and it hits this part. And I was so into it that I even got emotional and I started tearing up or I started laughing. And when you look back at that or when you think about it, it's going to be a sense, most people think it's pride. I, in my opinion, call it a realization of gratitude. You end up being very grateful because there are people who, some people don't have that opportunity to purchase those veggies or those the ingredients to make that dinner. Some people, I could say, I just went through this. Um, Something could be physically stopping them from actually standing up and being able to cook and having the ability to cook and move around the way they want. So if you have your moments, and even in those situations, I'm sorry, even in those situations, you could still find your Ghibli moment, but you'll have more spring in your step if you're in the moment. You recognize your Ghibli moments and you practice gratitude. So this week, take a moment. See how your mood change if you take that moment, even if like today and tomorrow, or even the next day, you don't actually realize that you're in a Ghibli moment. But if you review your day and you put the checks and balances in check, you will realize, oh, that was a Ghibli moment. It's something simple, so simple. Even something as if you have a balcony, stepping out into your balcony. So look at having a Ghibli moment as your way of actively realizing and practicing gratitude. I hope you have several Ghibli moments this week. Don't forget, you are important and you are appreciated. And we will have our weekly brunch again next Sunday. I am debating on having a special um, show tomorrow for Martin Luther King's Day. It depends because I have a long list of things to do and things to put together, and I need to declutter because I like my Ghibli moments. They make me very, very happy, and soon you'll figure that out too. Until next week, oh, or Thursday because it's buddy check. I will see you on the next one. This is the Loon signing off.